Good to see you. You look good.
Good to see you. Yeah, I haven't shaved. That's the key. Pretty soon they're going to think like there's going to be Bigfoot sightings in Darien. It'll just be me just taking the dogs for a walk, actually.
Michael, you've got to cut expenses somewhere. Come on.
Exactly. Oh my gosh. And so Russell's with us, who's the co-author of the book. And,
hello.
So, hey, Russell, how you doing? Actually,
yeah,
I need to get a copy of
those razor blades, those costs can mount up. You know,
they're by my bed in the little book thing. Thank you. Jamie is doing awesome work tonight. Actually, it's funny because my history 30 years ago, I got really addicted and ended up kind of getting to know everybody to this music video show called The Tube. And it was 8 o'clock on Thursdays. So a little bit, we're in spirit continuing that live television, live television, what do you want to call it? Just the moment, except we're not playing music videos. Thanks, sweetie, so much. I realize I better have a copy of this if we're going to talk about it and do beat poetry to it.
Yeah.
Jack, how you doing?
Good. Still hanging out in the COVID environment.
Yeah? I know, we all are, right? You look like you got a good shelter.
Yeah, it's comfortable, so I'm happy.
It's always, it kind of has that cool bunker feel. I mean, I've got this bunny statue, or it's a mask. It stares at me and says things every now and then. It's awesome, though.
It's got a Donnie Darko
totally Donnie Darko. That's why my wife got it, actually. She's like, yes, she's in the background.
It's funny. It's funny, a blast, and weird to see everybody's environment in Zoom meetings, isn't it? I'm not sophisticated enough yet to put the background in, but
yeah, but you got this great dark David Lynchian room going. Like, I like it. It's good. It's very cool.
It's as bright as it goes, actually, right now. But
I was gonna be like, I'm behind you.
Here would be stranger.
And Molly Staley's with us. Hello.
Hey.
It's
Randy Clark. Yeah. Hey, Randy.
How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Doing good. I actually made it to the Zoom meeting. I had one for work today and I couldn't get into it. So I got into this one. I'm feeling really accomplished.
Excellent.
So real quick, we'll be introducing more people, but since you guys are first, you guys get like the real introductions. Mark and I met years ago, and then we kept bumping into each other. And Mark is literally the guy behind the guy behind the guy. When it comes to doing marketing and design and all that kind of stuff, he's just great to have. I know you might be limited on time, but I'm happy you were able to join us for a little bit tonight.
Well, you sent that invitation, I don't know, about a week ago or something. So I was, I was really excited about this, but no, more like 30 minutes ago or something, Michael. But.
Yeah. Well, I do it. I sent it a week ago, and then I do it an hour before because people forget. Because even though we're all stuck at home, we're all very busy and crazy, and God knows what's going on. So that's part of the strategy. And Jack, I got to do a couple podcasts with Jack, and I can't wait to do more.
What do you do, Jack?
So I'm a software developer and an IT manager, basically. So really boring stuff, kind of just building computer programs, and
He's being modest.
Particularly
He's
in the
really
legal
smart.
environment, so it's super boring.
If I had my life to spin again, I would be you, because I understand from many friends of mine and acquaintances, you guys make very good bucks.
Yeah, I can't complain, so I'll take what I can get.
Yeah.
And Molly, so obviously you're connected with Russell, which is Randy. Okay. Because it's really great because we kind of have a Seattle-Chicago thing going tonight, because I used to live in Seattle.
Right.
And then that's where I met Russell. And then we've been working on this book for like 8 years. Actually, it was more just articles. We condensed into a book because Russell's the real writer.
Randy's down in Olympia, and we met in Seattle. He's one of the first friends, if not the first friend I ever had in Seattle. And then he and his wife said, we've been here long enough. Capitol Hill is killing us. We're going to Olympia.
That was 31
My
years
brother
ago.
did the same thing, actually.
Yeah.
Then he came back to Chicago.
And Russell, you're still there in the midst of
I
all the
am.
craziness. Ground zero.
Yeah, for Mark and Jackie, I don't know. Russell lives not too far from my sister in Seattle, and they were in the Chaz and/or Chop, depending on what time period you were there, because it was all that news footage you saw in Seattle. That's where Russell lives. Actually, he was down in it.
Street. Yeah.
So we're glad he survived.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
It's interesting because Russell lives there and my sister lives there. So it's funny because you'll see the news reporting it and from both sides, and you realize that no, really there's a whole other perspective of people who live there that wasn't getting covered, the good and the bad of it. And so, and hopefully like the stuff we do and the writing and everything like that is just to help sort of offer those kinds of perspectives. So yeah.
Well, for a while, they were interviewing a guy in my building because he was walking out onto that corner, like the traffic circle right next to the building. He was walking out there, so he kept getting interviewed.
Man, that's gotta be like both exciting because you're a part of history, and then also just terrifying and slightly annoying. I would imagine. It's like, oh crap, we're doing this again. I lived in Seattle for a few years, and we didn't experience any of the extremes, although we did live in Portland for a few months because I was job hopping a lot after the Great Recession. And in Portlandia, that TV show is a documentary. It is exactly like how they show it on that TV show. Amazing food.
Actually, Portlandia is a lot like where I live in Olympia. On the west
you're
side.
not that far. I was going to say. You're
the same. Oh, yeah.
Sleater kidding. I mean, come on, Carrie Brownstein represent, that's
right.
I know my music history, at least up until, a certain point. Hey, Crystal's joining us again for our second turn. How you doing?
Hello, everybody. So awesome to party with you. How are you doing?
Hey.
Yeah, tonight's a little more casual, so it's a little bit more, I got some sake here tonight, actually, kind of hiding behind me. So feel free to pour yourself a cold one if you got one. So this is the happy hour one. And of course, this is the one I'm recording, is the happy hour one. So, salute. Compine.
Where's your wife, Michael? I want to meet her.
She snuck downstairs because she was like, oh man, I'm not even made up for this one. She like ran downstairs. I'll see if I can bring her up, but she was like, no, I'm not ready this time.
But I said the same thing about me. I'm not made up either.
I know. I mean, look at me. Like I said, I just came out of the cave. Apparently, where the Donnie Darko rabbit keeps me under lock and key.
I just wish I had that.
That's what I hear all the time. Actually, everybody's like, "Oh man, you son." It's like, sorry. That's why my wife tells me growing up. Like Jamie's like, "Do you dare cut it?" I like it actually shorter. I like it like the Chris or like Daniel Craig and James Bond kind of like look. But she's like, "No, let that hair grow." So now I look kind of like a fat Keanu Reeves and John Wick. I'm kind of rocking that look for a while. So anyway, so how many now? I know Jack, you bought the book, and Crystal, you grabbed a copy too, right?
Randy bought one,
and Randy's got one. Oh, look at that! So, what were your thoughts? I'd love to know what you guys thought of the book. Just seriously,
hold that up again, Molly. Let's see the cover.
There it is. Oh, I know. It's very dark and suspenseful.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun. Yeah. Well, we wanted it when I designed it, actually. Part of it was I wanted to feel sort of immediate because with everything that was going on this year, we had all these articles that were kind of lying around, and Russell and I, and I'm sorry if you've already heard this story before, and Russell and I have heard it plenty of times. We had all these articles we went for the Huffington Post and Psychology Today, and many of them seem more relevant now than they did even back in 2013, 2014, and so on. And so Russell's like, we should compile this and put this out. And especially over the last few months, it just seemed like, well, now's the time, because you know, this is the year, like they'll talk about this year like they talk about 1968. Like CNN's going to be doing documentaries about this year in like 2045. Like, oh man, 2020, that was one hell of a year. Like, you know, then they're going to bring out like Cardi B, but she'll be older, and like, oh, you know, that's what's going to happen. Really, we all know, like all these, like, you know, Justin Bieber, they'll drag all these guys will be in their 60s. The cast from Stranger Things talking about how crazy and where they were when 2020 was happening, and it just felt like, well, this is a chance to put out at least our 2 cents into it and to try to put out a positive message, because everything just seems so upsetting right now. And so what Russell did is he took all the articles that we had written together and just really condensed it into this sort of like these bite-sized, it's just very information packed, but very readable, which is, I'm glad he did that, because he's the better writer than me. I write, and even as I talk, I bore the crap out of everybody because I just start going into cerebral stuff, like, you know, the dinosaurs used to have concepts, like, no. So Russell added that extra, like that Jack Kerouac flair to the book, and hopefully, like, you know, for us, it just, you know, people pick it up and they feel inspired by it, and more importantly, they get into a state of creative flow, which is really what we hope the book does. Then, yay, you know, that's what we hope. So that's it. So,
well, a part of how this happened is because of Michael's wife, Jamie, who isn't here, you know, pretty much nudging Michael, and then Michael nudged me for about a 2-year period. And then finally I said, okay, now's the time, because for whatever reason, it was the time. And I had started writing new material for the book before I realized that I had to pick the pieces that fit into what the book was going to become, whatever that means. And
well, there was a lot of discussions back and forth between you.
Yeah, that's sort of how it happened,
yeah.
But it really was picking everything that felt like it related to right now. And this was just slightly before the pandemic occurred, you know, when everything went into lockdown in March. It was slightly before that the project got going. And then from that point on, I had the momentum to keep it going until it finished itself, you know, like, you know, just, okay, something more. Then this happened. Then more and more happened. And finally I said, well, okay, I need to stop writing before the ice age comes. Because,
well, yeah, and I was the kind of one pushing that, like, dude, you keep reworking this thing. And then we came up with the closer, the last chapter of the book together. And then it was like, and that was kind of like, okay, after that, that's it. We can't do it anymore. Because as you know, in this day and age, it's like, there's something new happening probably right now. And we haven't checked our phones yet to be like, oh my God, you know, like, and so, you know, would you stop the book? Because we'd be writing it, you'd be writing it. Oh my God, see, you know, it's not a happy hour till something gets broken. But you'd be writing it and I'd be writing it, you'd be really polishing. And then it was like, then something new would happen. I think literally like all the stuff then the protest happened while we were writing the book. And then I was like, well, that's no longer relevant, and this is now relevant, and then so it was quite if this was a marathon, the last like few months were just crazy. They're trying to like, it was like we had to really put a lot of effort to get it to a point where we felt good. And once again, that, and a lot of that in the end fell to Russell, because he did the final work on it, which was great. Yeah. So
yeah.
Well, and Michael, it's really interesting that you mentioned that. In the fact that I think the thing that really differentiates this year from previous years is just the saturation of social media that we have at this point. I think that the generation that's born into this is going to have their entire lives documented from pretty much conception until the day that they die, based on what they have. And I mean, I think back to when I was a kid, I have pictures, you know, some pictures. I have maybe a couple of journals that I kept for a little while, but I have no kind of documentation that goes through all this. And when we talk about the now, I think what is really interesting about the now is just the fact that people have such limited capacities to remember things, and now it's hard to forget things because they're there. And Facebook is there to remind you, this is what you did last year. This is what you did 8 months ago.
It's so funny you bring that up, because when Russell and I started this, I remember we were really doing a lot of research back in 2012. And at that point, I was moving back to Chicago. So it was kind of a nice project for us to work on together, because, you know, he's still going to be in Seattle, and it was a way to keep connected in many ways. And what the things that they always kept telling was the internet is written in ink, And we used to have this philosophy that we'd always talk about, don't put anything on the internet that you wouldn't tell your grandma. Because yes, if you go back to your grandparents, like you know something about them, but you didn't know what they ate on August 15th, 1934. You don't know that much detail about your grandparents or your great-grandparents for that matter. You just have these few factoids. But definitely this generation, as we're all, if you're Gen X or even a millennial, you're considered a digital immigrant. Gen Z is a digital native. And yeah, their whole life has been documented from the get-go. Even if they're not going on Facebook and doing stuff, just having a cell phone means that everything you write, everything you do is getting quantified and is getting basically put into certain funnels. And it's funny because when we kept saying, don't put anything on the internet that you want to tell your grandma, like how true that became over the last year. Like, my gosh. And all I can say is I'm glad that we didn't have this when I was a teenager. I think a lot of us who are older feel, oh, I'm so glad that in the 90s, especially the way we all talked in the 90s, oh my God, I'm so glad that we weren't documenting all this because that probably would have been a problem. But you don't know. I mean, that's the thing. It's just we're all adapting and trying to as quickly as we can.
I think what you were saying, guys, also relates very closely, on topic and a little off, but relates very closely to the marketing communications business. What you were saying, Michael, about that things are constantly and going to constantly change. And in writing the book, you're documenting something and you're taking sort of a moment in time. And been in the marketing field for 30 years. I hate to admit actually how many, but 30 plus years. And in order to get self-employed and in order to get a client moving, they'll always say to me, yes, but this is going to happen, and I gotta wait for this to happen to market. So you've got to grab this moment in time and move forward and market now. And anyway, but you guys were documenting a moment in time, and then it becomes a historical document because things are moving and changing.
What's interesting is that when you looked at it, like I remember when Facebook went public and 10% of it, I think, went to Russia. Bono bought some, a lot of different celebrities. And then like a guy out of Russia bought it and they asked him, why are you so interested in Facebook? He said, well, because it has more information than even the KGB could have ever dug up. And it's funny, those little quips. I even go back as far as 2005 when, oh gosh, it wasn't Bernanke. It was Greenspan who was in charge. And he said, the housing market has a lot of froth. And I remember thinking, oh my God, that's like the creepiest sentence I've ever heard in my life. And I think part of being able to predict the future or be able to understand where you're at now is trying to remember those little bits that stuck out, that seemed like it was foreshadowing where we're at today, and say, oh, how that was true. How did that point A get to point B? And that's and a lot of that, I mean, that we talk about that a lot in the book. And I think it's something that I just find fascinating just as a person. It's like, I think as an artist and a person who studies culture, it's like, I think Russell, you'd be just as fascinated.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, to me, it was really like finding those in-between moments that we're all looking for, where everything feels a little bit normal for a few minutes, like walking in nature in a park, some sort of the uplifting parts of being in this thing. So by calling it the new now instead of the new normal, and thinking about all the ways that we're able to find solace, like books and movies, like all of that was running through my mind. And how do we say this and put it in there in a way that just feels like not being too Pollyanna-ish or just too like la la la, but more like, this is what we're all dealing with, and how do we help ourselves, and I think that's part of what it's about. But it really is about art can change lives and save lives, and things like music and books right now are just gold.
And I'll say that the music right now has gotten, I mean, it's always was pretty good. I think people always like to kind of rag on music a little bit, like, it's terrible. because you always kind of identify with the music of your teenage years or maybe early 20s. But a lot of the music was actually pretty good. And then now it's gotten great. And it's always fascinating to me that during times of trouble, during hardship times, you know, the films and when they get back moving again, and then music and all that stuff, it really does bring out that sort of creative power, if you will. Like people just, maybe they just don't hold back as much. Maybe they're just more interested in making a statement. And in essence, you know, that's what defines your life, right? I mean, I don't know about you. I'm such a nerd that I have playlists that are literally like, this is my 2004 to 2007 playlist when I lived in Joliet. This is my 2007 to 2009 playlist when I lived in Seattle. Like, I've documented my entire life by music. And I thought that was what everyone did. And then I would tell people and they thought I was nuts. But then I found that certain movie directors and creatives would do that sort of a thing. So yeah, so I think that's the most important thing that we hope that the book would do, because it has that sort of kind of beatnik feel to it, is that you read it and then you don't necessarily read all the way through it. You kind of put it down, then you go do a creative project or work on something, because now you got a little bit of momentum. And that's really, you know, because I think a lot of books nowadays are just always about facts and just very much about facts. And our book definitely is based in fact, but it felt more to make it more like poetry, I think, because there's plenty of books that are all like, and in 1929, you know, the Great Depression, whatever. You're like, there's all that stuff, and I can't say that I'm that bright enough to make sure that all my facts are 100% accurate, and it would drive me crazy if we missed something. But this is more like, I remember when I was growing up, there was a book called The Wisdom of Insecurity by Alan Watts, and I picked that up when I was in college, and it like changed my life. And I thought, well, man, if we could do at least something along those lines, that's a little bit more philosophy, that's a little bit more interesting, I thought that'd be great. So yeah. So now I know Jack has a copy, but I know, and Crystal, you got a copy, and we know you got a copy, Randy. So Bar, if you guys have a copy, please just tell us what you think about it. Like, I'll open the floor. You want to open the floor, Russell? You can tell us tell us about all the typos on that first draft that we put out for like a week.
Or the other direction.
Or the other direction. I'm Midwest. I'm self-effacing. I'm always like, oh, we're knuckleheads. That's just the charm.
Michael, I told you that if you give me a copy, I'll give you, a good review on Google.
Okay. Actually, Amazon. We need the good reviews on app. Yeah, we need good reviews on Amazon. Actually, that's where we're trying to fight the good fight right now. Yeah. Yeah, it's actually
something here. Actually,
I'm not a book publisher.
Oh, I hear Randy.
Yeah,
Randy.
No, actually, I read the book and I'm rereading it again. You know, I mean, I read lots of books. I'm sitting in my library. There's hundreds of books here. Russell knows me. We both love books. We love ideas. We love art. So this actually, God, this reminds me of so many historical documents that ignited things and changed things and got people mobilized, because it's about hope. It's about you can do it. If not you, who? If not now, when? You know, it has that. It's 1968. It's 1798. It is of the moment. It is of every time where, you know, it's 1918. It's the time where things need to change. And this book talks about it. And it's you know, it's so anti the zeitgeist of the president that is in the office and the present we lived in, this whole time we're living in at the moment. It is about hope. It is about creativity. It's not about blame. I don't see Jeremiah's in here about, you know, the evil times in which we live in, even though we all know it and it's touched upon, but it's about hope. It's about change. It's about caring for each other and the world and the planet. And we all know that, you know, and this is a hopeful thing. And that's what I appreciated about, because there's too little of that. You know, you turn on, you look at the media, you look at the world, you turn on your computer. Apparently the internet is always on and there's always something going on it. And it's usually crazy or insignificant, or you're just wasting your life. But stuff like this is really what the world needs, I think, you know, because it is, you guys have put a lot of thought into it. And
thank you.
A lot of thought. And you know, and it really is, it's a document for our time. And I really hope we can get this out to more people. I know it's when you self-publish, it's hard to do, and I don't know anything about it. And you guys are trying your best, and I pass it off to some friends, and whatever. But
well, today I emailed Richard Branson.
I don't know if Richard Branson's going to write back, Russ. I'm just saying. I mean, that's really great. I love where your head's at. That's really, really great wishful thinking there.
It's worth a shot. It's worth a shot. But anyway, back to Randy. That was fantastic.
You can start at the top or work all your connections here. Yes, do what you can. So.
Well, we are. You know what? We're having fun with it, and I think in the end we are reaching out. We're gonna be on a few other podcasts. We're gonna be doing a few things, and we'll just see. I mean, in the end, it's up to everybody, really. I mean, we don't have a say in it. All we can do is put it out there. And to me, just doing this right now and having Mark and Jack and I'm meeting you for the first time, Randy. I think my dad just showed up. He's the iPhone guy. Hi, Dad. How you doing? He came on board this time around. He was here last time too. Actually, he had wonderful insight. But yeah, it's like, even if this is as far as it got, it was a great success because it really did seem to hit people and reach out to people, even in just a small capacity. And if it helps others, that's great. I mean, that's up, we'll keep pushing it and we'll keep putting it out there. But we'll just, we'll see what happens. We'll see the fates will decide whether or not it becomes something of substance or not. But in the end, I'm happy with everything. This is fun. Even just doing these.
So unfortunately, I have to jump at 8:30. But before we go, I wanted to just read my favorite passage to you guys.
Oh, sure.
It's actually the beginning of the second manifesto, Welcome to the New Now. And it starts off, it's happening again. Life is changing. People younger and older, friendly or fearful, vibrant or forlorn, intently focused on nodding out while walking down the street of life. All feel the technicultural shifts going on around them and rumbling through them. Look around. We are all now makers, creators, builders, and the people who will decide the future of our planet. The process of remaking and reinventing our lives is propelling us forward into a new now. And that was something that really hit me, particularly in the sense that we kind of forget our importance in the midst of things. When we talk about how busy we are or how connected we are to things or how we're running around and how stressed out we are about things, or even in the middle of this pandemic, we kind of forget that the power we need is in our hands, through the creativity we have. And Michael, when you were talking earlier about how times like this inspire creativity, what really inspires creativity in me is emotional content inside of myself, something that strikes my emotion. If I'm feeling really depressed about something or something really sad, it will inspire me to write something or paint something or do something like that, because I need to get that emotion out. And that's what we forget about with regards to the things that we make, is that sometimes when we create them and we pour our emotion into them, the end product that we put out then translates into other people, and they get that emotion from there, and they feel that when they either look at what you've created through a sculpture or a painting, hear what you've composed through poetry or through some sort of music. And I think that's what we forget, is just that power that we have, that being in the now and realizing what you have and how you can influence the world around you is something that we lose.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I mean, that's honestly, it's what we call it the new now, because we did want to give it that sense of immediacy. We felt new normal could be compromising. We don't necessarily want to go to a new normal. We don't know if that new normal is going to be better than the old normal, in all honesty, but calling it a new now, it kind of gave it that little bit of urgency, which I think we all kind of feel. And thanks, Jack, I know you got to go, Jack, but thank you for coming. And by the way, Jack and I talk on Recalibrate and Go. So if you get a chance, you feel like hitting on a podcast or two, Recalibrate and Go. We have a few great discussions. So if you want to continue this offline, give that a listen.
I thought that was so well stated, being marketing, but also, being an artist as well. I've got to sign off as well because I'm exhausted.
No, you've worked 6 weeks straight. You haven't been to bed since July. You got to get some sleep. I'm worried about you.
All right, bye all. It was very nice to talk to you all.
A real pleasure. Thank you guys for jumping on.
We'll see you again.
Thanks for joining
Take
us.
care. So I think we got a little bit more time. And of course,
Yeah.
obviously, Crystal and Dad. So real quick, hey, Dad, how you doing? You're giving a wave. He's here. I think he's got on mute. So, but Crystal, have you gone through the whole book?
Unfortunately, I haven't been able to make the time yet.
That's
I've
okay.
got my brother's wedding.
You're
and,
busy.
I had a speech that I had to deliver, so I had to write that up.
It's only been out for a couple weeks. So, I mean, honestly, like, that's all right. Don't worry about it.
Getting my job again and job interviewing and doing better this time. So
well, whenever you get around to it, that's the nice thing about a book.
Yeah.
It never goes anywhere.
I really bought it out of love for you both and just wanted to support you. So
well, thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks, Crystal.
And
Yeah.
thank you, Crystal.
yeah.
Thank you.
So anyway,
Yeah, I'll jump in with
here we go.
an old song. I'll jump in with an old song, a very rather cruel.
This is being
songwriter's
recorded, so
joke.
be careful. We're gonna post
Oh.
this.
Oh, well, no, this is safe. This is safe. But the running joke is, especially with country western songwriters, is when you hear the guy just got dumped by his girlfriend or is getting a divorce, you say, well, at least there'll be some good songs coming up.
Yeah. That's about right.
It's a sad reality. I was spinning off of what the other gentleman said. It's cruel. It hopefully doesn't have to always be that. You know, as a Gordon Lightfoot fan, you know, one of his greatest songs ever is is a heart-wrenching, you know, tear your heart out, stomp that sucker flat kind of song. And so, yeah, it happens, but it hopefully doesn't have to be that. Just any strong emotional response to events or to ideas hopefully can coalesce into a work of art or a good song.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's funny because it seems like it's kind of one of two things that become like these albums that we always remember for a lot of the singer-songwriters. If it's like Bob Dylan's Blood on the Tracks, this is 1975, and then Beck's Sea Change of 2002, which were all breakup albums. And I think they even said they were tuning into their inner Gordon Lightfoot. That's part of the review of the album. Was the pain of a breakup and creating great music. But at the same time, when bands or musicians reinvent themselves, you think about the many incarnations of David Bowie, or U2's Achtung Baby, or Sgt. Pepper with the Beatles. Those are examples of maybe there was pain involved. And it's funny because even with all those albums or all those changes, there was something forcing the artist to do something different. But in some ways where like the singer-songwriter, the breakup album has that pathos and I think has sort of like that instant gravitas. At the same time, Sgt. Pepper, Achtung Baby, Radiohead's Kid A, these reinvention albums that brought a whole new perspective into our expectations of what we thought an artist was, I think also has the same gravitas as well. So it isn't always just the breakups, is what I'm saying. Sometimes it's just crazy bursts of creativity out of necessity.
Yeah. Well, and also I would say all the albums you just mentioned, it's also about tuning into the times they were made in. It's about, you know, like John Lennon said about the Beatles, where we were a part of that time period. You know, maybe, you know, we were all in the same boat. Maybe we were up in a crow's nest, but we were in the same place as everyone else, you know. So they got a different view of things, but they were still there in the boat. So, you know.
Exactly. No, that's.
Well, I've got an idea. Since we read something last time, since we read from the Internet Turned On last time, why don't we read from a Declaration of Interdependence #1?
Oh, are we switching this off and doing this to beat music like last time? Or we're just going to read it off?
Whatever works, you know. Like that one, we can do what we did before, is alternate lines and just figure. Have you got it?
I got it. Oh yeah, I'm right here. Okay, Declaration of Interdependence. Do you want to go first this time?
Sure.
We'll do it beatnik style. I'll see if I can get a bass. I'll get some music going.
Yeah. or whatever. A declaration of interdependence, number 1. We the people declare that we are living at a turning point in history, and we decided to change history.
We the people declare we deserve a transparent, fully functioning, thriving democracy. It's pretty much what the founders promised in writing.
We the people declare we didn't expect to live in a time when reality needed our protection. Yet, here we are.
We the people declare it's way past time to create a more perfect union.
We the people declare, so it appears the science fiction novels we read were sending us secret coded messages all along. Go figure.
Yeah. We the people declare being on the right side of history is about being open-minded and respecting freedom of thought and of the press.
We the people declare making a new way and a new day begins with open, truthful communication.
We the people declare we wholeheartedly believe in common sense solutions that benefit all.
We the people declare an end to blind and foolish hatred in every corner of the world.
I think I got all the short ones. Or did you get all the short ones?
I think there's more to that one. Every human being now gets to believe what they want to believe and become who they want to become. You got the next one.
Yeah, that's mixed. That could go good or bad. We the people declare it's time to exhale toxic social conditioning and brainwashing.
We the people declare it's a brand new day.
We the people declare it's time to stand up for core humanistic values.
And we the people declare there are infinite possibilities for shifting our culture. Choose one and work towards making it happen.
We the people declare there's no time like the present. You want to wrap it there? Keep going. How do you want to do it? Are we good?
Couple more.
Couple more.
We the people declare we've seen the future and closed-minded fools have no place in it.
We the people declare we are ready like we've never been ready before.
There we go.
I'll add music later to that when we post this live. So I hope you guys don't mind. Is it Randy? You good? Crystal posting this live just on YouTube or whatever?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You guys are good? And
Yeah.
by the way, thank you so much for your compliments, man. That honestly, I want to write that out and then put that on like the billboard if we can afford one. Because that was wonderful. That really that meant a lot. Thank you so much.
Randy wrote the amazing review that he's still trying to get up on Amazon, and they're still messing with him. And he's the one that put us in
Molly,
today.
and my name is not Molly. It's Randy, and they were a little confused. I'm trying to sort them out.
I'm sorry. Well, it showed up as Molly.
Might work, though.
Huh?
Molly might work. You might want to stay with that.
go either way.
Hey, you know, if Monty Python can go in drag, I think you can do it.
Okay.
It's a small price to pay.
Just call me Molly then.
Although that may not be appropriate anymore. I was thinking about that. Monty Python, they dress as women. Would this be accepted now? I don't know. And we're not going to get into that because if we're going to post this live, that could go into a whole other place we don't want to get into right now. You know, we need the now for something completely different and the animated transition.
And then the argument clinic.
And then yes. Yeah. Well, anyway, so I'm good. Does anybody, any final thoughts on tonight's after hours or our second virtual meetup?
Apparently we're going to have to do a third one of these because each time they're fun, but you know, we need to get about 50 people maybe.
Right.
Well, I've been actually trying to get several people on that were having trouble for some reason, which seems to be the case.
My friend Kevin up in Toronto had the same kind of email flub. He was going to be here, and then that flubbed out on his technology.
Yeah, these are crazy times.
Well,
that's okay.
for what it's worth, I went to the posting on Facebook, and I didn't catch that it was a Zoom meeting. So I was trying to go with the links on Facebook. There's two links, one that says online and the other says live. And I tried both of those and then went back and I finally got your message, Mike, showing.
I guess we should have done this on Facebook, but it's like, oh man. We tried to put it up as many places as possible. We're on Zoom. Go to Zoom.
I
Zoom
probably did, but you remember I'll use my old guy card here.
Yeah. No, honestly, I think even young guys, it's crazy times.
Yeah.
Mark worked for 6 weeks straight, hadn't slept yet. Jack
Yeah.
almost forgot. We were able to get, actually, I don't think Jack forgot. I think actually he was ready to get on jump on this, and he's a great guy. He's someone I just met this year.
Yeah.
And we were able to do the podcast together. So I guess to wrap, and not you, Randy, we know you've gone above and beyond. Okay. If you get a chance, write a review on our Amazon page. We can see if we can drive up a little bit more excitement.
Yeah.
I
would also, while I'm thinking out loud here, the segment that you just read, I don't know how difficult it would be, but if you would just do one of those rather stereotypical now videos, it's done as promos, where you have a different person read each line.
That'd be fun to get all of our friends, everybody, all of us, like everyone we know, would be like, hey, listen, can you read a line?
Yeah, that's funny because I actually had the same thought the other day because, and especially what lends itself to it is the internet is always turned on. If that could be done with just like a whole bunch of different people, or maybe alternate like 4 or 5 people even, like, so it's not just Michael and I, that would be amazing.
That would be an alternative. You were going to say? Sorry.
Yeah, the Democratic National Convention, they actually did that. The first day of the convention, they had all these kids singing the national anthem. They started off one by one, and they went to another. Then they had the whole screen full of them doing it. I mean, there's lots of possibilities to shake this up.
Yeah.
You gave me an idea. If any of your friends have has a high school kid, recruit them and their friends, and you'll have 5, 10 right away. Different voices that you can mix in with an arrangement of other age groups, what have you. I'll offer to do one.
Great idea.
Well, you already got a couple people I know who'll do one right now. So let's see if we can make it happen.
Just a thought.
No, it's a great thought. I love it. Well, all right, guys. It's time to, we'll adjourn for the second virtual happy hour, Manifestos, Reinventions, and Declarations. So thank you, everybody, for coming. I really appreciate it.
Thanks a lot. All the wonderful voices here and everyone who has read part of it and feels great about it. Appreciate it very much.
Take care, everybody.
All right.
Thanks for being amazing.